6:30. I'll call this meeting of the Town of St. Joseph and Commission to order. Hereby provided our written notice and the agenda of the public meeting as stated below. There is an opportunity for public comments as a public on the agenda upon recognition that your site is. We'll call. Eric, John. This is online. Extra copies of Carolyn, so that's on that. No, it's not percent. Yeah, so that's. Users like that. United States of America. Which is the republic, which is stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, motion to adopt the amendment. So, Caroline. I'll second. Yeah. All those in favor of our action? Aye. Just a reminder that we are speaking, remember that there's the approval of prior meeting minutes. Hoping everybody's got accounts to look at the minutes. Is there any comments? Would anyone like to motion on this?
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November.
Okay, motion.
You can say it again.
You don't need to say. Second. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of this?
Aye.
Public comments. Is there anybody who would like to speak to a topic that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone on the Zoom that would like to speak to a topic that's not on the agenda? And we will move to our regular agenda. Starting with the CSM or the Woodstown property. Okay. I might hear it. Or plan for me. Yeah, we'll need to try to on there.
Put a mic with Northlands Community here in Fieldstrom certified right now. Give you a chance to take a look at it. The rather large lot, 25 acres. Now your engineer reviewed it and stuff, and we took care of their comments. If you have any questions?
I have one question. My biggest question, and it would be probably for you and the town, is the current driveway will serve both the new lot and some of the old sheds because it kind of loops around. Do we need to put some kind of
Agreement.
yeah, what's it? Easement, that's it. That's not it. Do we need easement on the new lot to make sure that we don't get a problem later? If, 50 years from now, both lots get sold to somebody else and they rearrange, because I assume you're gonna keep the driveway and it's gonna continue to loop and be used. So I would think we would want an easement on lot one to make sure that it's kind of codified that the new lot will be able to use that.
Yeah, I think that's a little tricky because what that would require a lot of single access. So we put an easement on the existing driveway, and I'm not sure what that does, someone wants to add a driveway or anything else on the.
Well, even with that, it's, you've kind of got two accesses on, but that's on private land, so I guess that's the problem.
Yeah. It's not a problem right now.
Oh, so the problem is that almost the access from that platted land onto the lot.
Lot one only has, well, and I think the problem is more, at least from my point of view. And we could always deal with this in the future, that, you've got an access with the driveway, if we put an easement there, then that is a legal access on the lot two.
Ah, I see what you're saying,
So
so they subdivided.
subdivide lot two and the north part of that lot, with the shed barn and so forth is there. Someone's supposed to put a house next to the. Next to the street. Yes.
My name's Albert. And what we've done is my sister wanted her share of the property after my brother passed away, which was 26 acres, and it ended up being 25. But we've got all of our life we've used that we're gonna driveway for my sister-in-law's house. And then the driveway for our old farm house. Then we just naturally use that together. So in the event that my sister would ever sell her portion, both driveways are there and we easily just continue the access to both of them. But we also have a family agreement which was signed by myself, my brother, and his sister, which basically indicates that we agree that we use these driveway accesses as long as we're continuing to part of the plan. And so this is something we will all agree to and sign. Day that comes when we're not part of the part, we probably discontinue. Move around. That's. We have a lawyer that's putting together all these agreements, and he is going to fine tune as we finalize everything.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that at all, and I'm not actually concerned by your family. The concern always happens, the second or third property owner after.
Yeah.
Where then they get the town involved and say, whatever, so I just wanted to understand. What, from a town perspective, because normally. We wouldn't just, I don't think we can straight up allow that without an easement if it's gonna be used. But then
Well, it comes to residents, I think we would definitely require. Difference in this utility.
so we wouldn't necessarily need to worry about a killer unless the unplatted land becomes. Subdivided.
Right.
Okay, so it's not a concern, it's a concern for.
Yeah, and I think it's a case where if that land were to be sold to someone who wanted to farm it, then they have a choice. They can either go to Millstrom's and ask them to sign a similar agreement, but they also have access right off of 15th Street, so they can just put a new driveway in, which might be awkward because of the location of the shed and stuff, but would at least that it's not creating a landlocked piece of property.
Okay.
Easement.
I just want to make sure, thanks.
That's my opinion, I think.
So Elmer has drawn on. Hold it up. I'm looking at this document. And as it's drawn on the document. We have a driveway on this property over here. And another one over here, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And right now, for whatever the reason is, you are using both driveways at one time or another, correct?
We're using it just because it's convenient for coming in with farm machinery. Because it's easy to make the route for delivery trucks, or fertilizer, whatever. They just drive from the next to it. If we discontinued access to either one of them, there's still needed the ability to get back.
My concern, Elmer, at this point is if this is already an existing platted driveway that would assure that after this is split with the new line here, that both properties, for whatever reason, would have access to that property. So that is what my question is. As you know it, or do you know that answer, are those both plot currently platted driveways?
When you say flat, the part of the,
They're permitted driveways already.
yes.
There might be like fire number there.
Oh, yeah, there's a house on each of those cars.
So
House by the farm buildings, right off the driveway.
each house has,
And each house has a fire number.
so just throwing stuff out there. If either of these needed to be, if either of these driveways needed to be extended. If the use of this property would change down the road, you would have a way to get to the western property line, right? By using those driveways.
Exactly.
All right, that's what I was trying to determine and that everyone was clear on. Sure.
Right.
So we're not leaving one without
So,
a legal access to a larger plot or whatever they chose to do it down the road.
that's,
And the agreement between you two sharing and drive across, that's yeah, all right.
so I've been working for.
50 years or something.
So it sounds like this is kind of formalized. Was,
What I've been doing for 60 years.
got it.
And I'm gonna plan on continuing to do it the rest of my life.
I don't have any more questions. The only thing that the staff has. The only thing I want to see is that part of these was some wetlands.
Yeah.
And that's been taken care of.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand.
The wetlands designation.
That was asked from the, it was the engineer, and she was about,
Okay.
to mark where the wetlands were, so.
Yeah, and you know,
And it got down
So
to
they
there.
were pointed out that delineation was extensive when it didn't really apply in this case.
right,
And the engineers were finding that, okay, just mark on there
but just so
that in the future, that there's going to be development in these areas, that delineations.
quite frankly, there's you get spring one, you have a pond there, and as soon as you cross it out, the next day water's coming. So start kind of soil with that.
One wants to make a comments. Good session.
Sure, I'll make, I'd like to make a motion to recommend to the board to approve the CSM for estate of Margaret Gilstrom. The parcel IDs are 03020449510 and 03024490000. Oh, sorry. 209.
Okay. I'm gonna ask for a minute. You want to, the last page, there were, you want to call out as part of your motion, the 4 staff recommendations. It's on the bottom of the 6 pages.
Well, I guess. Well, as I recall, after looking at it, other than the wetlands, they were just a boilerplate stuff. Because there were no outstanding items. So we don't usually worry about the necessary firms must be secured for property and stuff. We don't usually put those conditions on, those are just understood and whoops, sorry. So I didn't really see anything from the staff report that really needed to be addressed.
I think the only thing was to have that's.
Yeah, and it's already been addressed. So, does that make sense?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Yeah, hey.
I'm kidding. You guys have an opening. Technically, I think it's alternate one. In practice, we have planning commission. Ordinance says, that's just reviewing us, it says that in any case, the senior alternate is the one who steps in the event in the house, so it doesn't really matter what we all position alternate. To be step to be traveling. And you have, there's interest, training from. Joanne, training, and Alan. There's something from you, that's one. Good. Any of you like to make a additional statements or repeat what you said last month or to our deliberations here?
Do you want me to repeat? Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to do so.
Just a little bit.
Sure.
Great for us.
So, Craig Sikora, I live in the town of St. Joseph, and I am, in my professional career, a R&D director at a 3M company. My responsibilities there, and I'm going to talk about this just briefly because I think it relates to the opportunity here, is I am responsible for a team of about 200 people globally that supports our business for commercial graphic films, commercial cleaning products, and also, I think it's important to mention that we are responsible for all the 3M's traffic safety products that you are probably familiar with on the roadways, license plates, which is one Wisconsin back actually. We have the pavement marking, signage businesses, and other things. So in that, I think one of the qualifications that I have is my team includes responsibility for regulatory affairs. So we are involved in standards bodies. We're involved in working with regulators to get our products approved and supported both at the federal, state, and municipal levels. So in that way, I've also participated personally in advisory boards for standard committees, and I think those experiences give me an opportunity to contribute to this position with the organization. So I look forward to that if I'm chosen to do that, and I'll say that was great, and I following through this process. Choose. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Second was my last online, Chris, if I know that anything better.
I'm gonna take that as a no.
Did you ask me a question, Anton?
Yes, I asked if the audio quality had gotten any better, and we're kind of assuming that the answer is no.
Yeah, I can hear a lot of people, but the person I can't hear as well is you, Anton. I don't know why.
You're
I can't-
very softly spoken. It's kind of like hearing you mumble towards the microphone.
How about now? That's better.
Was that any better? Is that what you asked?
That's what I asked. We're trying to rotate some mics.
How about now?
Is that Anton?
You have a question with your question.
If I may suggest, maybe, sure. Perhaps.
It's this better.
Microphone dead zone. Let's.
Chris, can you hear me?
Yes,
That's.
We're not trying to give Anton, got my saving house.
Any better? Does this help at all?
a little better. Can you just speak up? Thanks for working with us here, for those of us online.
Sure. How about this? Well, I'll do my best here.
That's good, Anton. There you go.
Thanks for your patience. Okay, sorry, Joanne, go ahead.
Hey, my name is Joanne Kutchik. I have lived in the township since 1985. Been part of the community here. With my children going to Fulton School and the school district. Very involved with local groups such as the Hudson Boosters. Destination Imagination through the school district. Many activities with our children. Also a volunteer with the high school softball team, running the concession stands for the different games and that kind of thing. So always had a strong history of volunteerism within the community. I've seen this community grow tremendously since we moved here in 1985. What I like about the township is that it does still maintain that rural character that a lot of us had moved here for. But I also understand from the long-term residents who had fun with large tracts of land that this was their retirement fund, if you want to say, once they decided to sell their land or quit farming. So I'm very conscientious of that. I would like to think I could balance the two. You know, those people that want to keep it rural in character, and those people that want to develop their life. And I think I would be a very conscientious and sound voice for what the people of this township would like. So I've been, like I said, very involved in the community. Lots of volunteering activities, know a lot of people in this community, and I would be honored to be able to serve in this capacity to help the planning commission do the will of the people here in this township.
Thank you. I would love to have open again, but unfortunately, we only have one spot, so we're going to have to land up choosing one of you for now. We would like to, anyone want to use? And start off discussion.
I do have one just quick question for Craig. How long have you been in Thomas St. Joseph?
Thanks for your question. I have been in town since 2016. Prior to that, I was a resident of Richmond, in the city of New Richmond for 15 years. I grew up, born and raised in Deer Park, Wisconsin, went to high school in Cambridge, so I'm a St. Clair County resident for all of 3 years of my life. But I lived in Maryland.
That's I know the Tony. I would agree with Anton's, you know, I think back when I first joined the commission and we were struggling to get people to join and participate, and it's really thrilling that we actually have a hard decision versus somebody showed up with a pulse, so we're gonna recommend them. So it's a great problem to have, so like I said, I was not here last month. So I didn't get to hear anyone on last, but as I read through the information that provided, and I encourage you both to speak. You know, you both bring strengths and values that would benefit the commission without any doubt. We have long roots in the area. So, I don't have any strong comment on one or the other on who I prefer, so. I'd be interested in hearing what other folks on the page today.
Anton, can I?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just want to thank both of the folks, Mr. Sikora and Joanne Kochik for coming forward, because I think what John just said, they both live here and are interested in being on the Plan Commission and both bring experience that would be valued at the Plan Commission. I would, though, at this point, like at this time, like to make a motion to appoint Joanne Kochik to the Plan Commission.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion. Would you like to explain your thinking, or is this kind of plain us?
Are you asking me?
I am.
Yeah, I value both of the people before us and what they've shared about their work experiences. And I would, and I also greatly value the volunteerism that Joanne has pointed out over the years in our town. I also value her lens that she has shared with us in the balance in regards to the residents here, the balance of keeping our rural character as development continues in our town, respecting and acknowledging the landowners, the residents with larger land that have every right to develop their land, and also the balance with wanting to keep our community rural. I think that is in line with everything we consistently hear in our town from our residents on our surveys. It is part of our comprehensive plan. So that's my thinking behind it. It's a hard decision, and I greatly thank both of you for wanting to be part of the Plan Commission and coming forward.
Yeah, I guess I would. Yeah, if I had to pick one of you two, I guess I would probably be leaning very slightly towards Craig as having that sort of engineering and regulatory background. But I'm also really impressed by the amount of volunteerism and social capital in a sense that Joanne brings. So I could easily go either direction on this.
Anton, I have a question. Does, does Chris's motion for Joanne preclude another motion for someone else?
It doesn't mean that we need to vote on that motion before another motion can be brought.
Okay.
But we can certainly have more discussion. While Chris is going on so long.
Well, I just wanted to, I guess, echo what you said, Anton, about Craig's background as well. But I also see that there's definitely hurting in their backgrounds, and I think it's also a very hard decision.
Yeah, and I would echo the 2 points Anton brought up were the two that I was trying to balance. That was kind of the differentiators as Craig came with what I felt was more direct experience that would contribute to this specific role with the background that you have. And Joanne's involvement in the community is what I was balancing against that. And I'll be honest, I gave a slight edge to Joanne, but with the exact same thinking is I thought the involvement in the community gave her the slight edge. But again, we can't go wrong with either of you. So, but I would give my person slight edge to Joanne. And it's very, very spicy.
Unfortunately, it's pretty difficult to see these the last and, yeah, that was the big thing. Just the background and.
I had.
Let's see, one of our.
Anton,
Yes, Chris.
yeah, I guess I would also add, I mean, we're speaking to not, I would also add to Joanne's work qualifications that she spoke to last month. Also, with her background in HR, I think her lens of reviewing policies also is really important because of her background in HR and the work that she has done also.
I can agree with that. There is on the line, if you'd like to make any comments, does anyone have objections? Okay.
I'm not, I'm
sorry,
not sure.
Chris.
Yeah, I'm not sure that, I think this is a discussion for the Plan Commission. I'm not sure that this is an open public discussion. Do we normally do that?
We could go either way, it's certainly not uncommon when we are discussing a motion that's on the table in other circumstances to. If somebody raises their hand in the room to give them an opportunity to comment. So, Darla, if you have something short to say.
I just had a question about past practice as far as waiting list.
Okay.
So how that has been treated in the past, I believe that applicants were put on a waiting list and they were next in line if they were not chosen for the position they applied for.
I don't recall us ever doing something like that since I've been chair, so the last 6 years or so. I don't know how things were done before that.
Thanks, Darla, for that question. I think what we do is we have the alternate Plan Commission members. And that is kind of in a way, our waiting list is that when Plan Commission members move out, then it's the alternate that come on to the Plan Commission. But I can't think of a waiting list either.
I think you're right. That's what I'm thinking of. So is there that option then for whomever does not get elected?
You just have one opening and this for an alternate. So we have one of the alternate positions currently filled. So this, whoever we recommend for approval at this point would be moving into the junior alternate position. And then we don't have a third alternate position, we only have two that's set by the ordinance that established the condition, so. We do have, I'm not going to call it a waiting list that doesn't have an order, but the clerk maintains a list of people that are interested in volunteering in the town. Yeah, so when a position comes up on the planning commission or any of the other committees in the town, then Terry will provide us with a list of people that we can reach out to. But all right, I think we've got Chris's motion on the table. I want to make clear that no matter which way you vote, I don't think a negative vote is in any way a reflection on Joanne. It's just that, as we've all been saying, that our sort of personal feelings in terms of exactly where this very, very narrow line comes down is different. So I'm going to go ahead and call for the votes on Chris's motion to recommend to the board that Joanne be appointed to the alternate. I'm going to call it the alternate two position. The junior alternates. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No. I think that's coming out as 3-3. So. So.
I have up with 6 people.
a good question. We should not have, you know, this. Well, we should have already sold. Justin, you're on the line, are you voting? Or is Lori voting for you?
Present.
So if we come to a tiebreaker, this is where I have to ask because I'm not 100% sure as the voting board, as the member of the board that sits on this committee, if I have a vote then or not. That's why I stayed silent there, is because I don't want to do something that would be listed in as inappropriate.
I'm gonna jump in with Justin, and I'm on the same page as what Justin is, and that. This situation doesn't come up very often. But what I would like is verification, and at this point. Is. I would like to know whether what I've seen is true. The town board member can only vote on a topic on the table one time, and that's when we're on the board, is what my understanding is. So as a commissioner or committee representative, I don't know what the circumstance is in which we would vote, because otherwise, as a board member, I'm voting twice. Because I get to vote here and I get to vote again on the board, so I think I'm gonna tag in with Justin. I don't. In this situation, because we're called to task on it. I am not going to vote as the tiebreaker for tonight. Based on the information that I have, because I think that it is inappropriate for me to do so.
So you're saying your role is really an advisory role?
And I was hoping to get this choice, and I was gonna take the chance at this point that in the. I don't even know how long I've been on the board, 6, 8 years, a long time. And I often speak too much. But really and truly, I have always played my role on the commission, whether I was sitting, no matter where I was assigned. It wasn't my job to decide whether we should or should not have something. My position was to give them guidance on whether it be procedure, input for where to look for information, possibly a direction that hasn't been considered. And I tried very, very, very hard to retain a position of guidance and not necessarily a position of opinion one way or the other. When something came to the table. And then that's what it is, and then I just let the chips fall where they may and let it play out. And when it comes time to vote, I do it at the town board level, so I very often sit here and I'm not guessing and knowing anything, I'm sitting here. And as long as it's not a tie, it hasn't been a problem until tonight.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try something that is, I pretty much know how this is going to go, but I will be appointed to appoint, to recommend to the board that Grace, be appointed as the, alternate position for the planning commission. Seconded by Garrett.
I was actually going to suggest that.
Point of order, Anton.
Yes.
I have to tell you, I can't hear hardly anything, so correct me if I got anything wrong, but if there is, are you saying there's a 3-3 tie?
That's correct.
Now,
Yes,
according to Robert's Rules of Order, and you may have to look this up, if there is a tie, I believe the motion fails.
correct. That's right.
So we need a new motion.
So we are making a new motion. Made by myself, seconded by Carol. All those in favor of recommending that the board appoints, Craig. Aye. Aye. Aye.
Can you repeat that?
So repeat which.
The motion.
The motion. To recommend to the town board to appoint Craig Sikora to the alternates, to the junior alternate position of the planning commission.
Thank you. Did everybody vote but me?
Yes,
Yes,
Okay.
Well, we've only gotten to the in favor of.
yes, we only voted for in favor of us.
Might need a roll call, just, you might want to roll call it.
I'm so sorry. Can I repeat the motion? Make sure that I'm understanding what I'm voting on. If I'm understanding, the motion is to recommend to the town board to appoint Craig Sikora to the alternate plan commission. To the alternate seat for the plan commission. Is that the motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
And yes, I think we will perhaps switch to a roll call vote. Very new. Names.
Don Ringhofer,
Aye.
Eric Lorenz,
Aye.
all right,
Aye.
Carol Lockhart. Aye.
Name.
Chris.
Nay.
Chris.
Nay.
You know, surprising, so, okay. Great, we will recommend, to the board that. They appoint you as the alternate. So yeah, I highly recommend that you, continue looking at either plan commission or somewhere else, because we would love to have. And we never know when we'll have another position coming up. Thank you to both of you. Okay. Now we can move on. We have our ordinance reviews. We have lots of ordinance reviews. I have no idea the amount of the one review. First thing I will mention, I will also type this into the chat for the well on the Zoom that I had run into at least one of the ordinances that I looked at where everything was fine except that some of the chapter references had changed, or not chapter but section references. So it's had amended the state law that we're referring to. And I asked the lawyer at the town board meeting whether it was fine to just leave that. He said it would be better to correct those. So that is the direction that I'm going in. He also said that it would be better to refer to just the chapter and not the section in most cases, because that way, when the state does amend their statutes, that we don't have follow on that we need to do that.
I think that's better than the best idea I had, is ask the state not to do that.
So that would shorten up our document quite a bit,
A little bit.
A little bit.
or, you know, as we go through them, you know. Good.
Always take this.
Anton, while you're typing. May I speak to Craig for a minute?
Yes.
Craig, you're gonna have to connect with Terry.
Yeah.
And so that she can do any paperwork that needs to be done, and that will include filling out a W-2, because there's a small amount of pay for attending meetings, which you will be.
After the
You're
board
in tax docs
assuming that the board
goes forward, and then you're gonna have, and then you'll have to set up email. Add audit, an email address and all of that have to be worked out, and that's done. After the, this comes before the board, and you can very well send it back. That's what's gonna occur after that board meeting,
Thank you.
if
And
that goes through.
the board meeting's on the 14th, so next Thursday.
And you have to make arrangements with Terry to take care of that during Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday business hours.
Thank you, and I certainly will. I'll send Terry a note, schedule when it's available.
Okay, so ordinance reviews, chapter 14, emergency government. Teresa was looking at that one. And I have an update from her email that, she's met with Zach, fire chief, and we'll get the emergency management one to us for next month. Next one is 35, which is planning commission. And I have that one. And second. These are. I believe that all of these are in the drive. Okay, so planning commission, yeah, there are actually more changes. That's one that I expected. Partly because we were referring to Tony's zoning in a number of places. So the changes, first of all, zoning in see chapter 198, which was our old zoning ordinance many years ago. So I'll fix that to 170. Got rid of references to where we were reviewing things for county zoning. In most cases, there are a few cases where we do make recommendations on county zoning when it comes to things like shoreline or certain conditional uses that are under the county ordinance where it overtakes us. There was a note that the plan commission should review and recommend changes to comprehensive plan at least every few years. I added text there that says it should be updated no less than once every 10 years. That's a little bit redundant because state law also says that, but I wanted to call it out in the ordinance once we're making changes.
That's a good point, and 10 years comes around pretty quickly, which would mean that at the next year when you budget, you're gonna have a discussion going into 2025.
So that's 2026 is our next deadline for that, I believe.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's see, there was a note that when we do the comprehensive plan that we send it to the Wisconsin Land Council. The Wisconsin Land Council was shut down by the state legislature, so we to that. There was notes that we had the power to establish a town exclusive agricultural ordinance that was renamed and kind of replaced by the state with the farmland preservation ordinances. So fix that wording. Let's see, there was some text that says that any ordinance should be consistent with the plan as of January 1st, 2010, which was our first comprehensive plan. And I didn't like that reference because we amend the plan and it should really be comprehensive with the most recent adopted updates of the plan. So I just wanted to fix that and change that. Town master plan is going to be named the town comprehensive plan by the state. And those are all of the changes that I have in the commission plan. So any comments? Otherwise, I would, in fact, I will, before we talk about comments, I'll make a motion that we forward the revised chapter 35 and commission ordinance to the town board for adoption.
I'll second.
Second version. Any discussion questions? Just like
Before the town board adopts it, do we send those to the attorney?
we sometimes do, we don't always, but I don't think we've ever sent much different from the commission without getting approval from the board.
That would make sense.
So my sorry.
But the board can decide what they want to do.
Exactly, that's needed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we can move on. Great. We start that. Second. Okay. Next, let's see, we have chapter 81 design regulations.
It's not in the drive, at least it's not showing up in my drive. Chapter 81.
Okay, so yeah, I think Carolyn and Chris will want to look at that one, so that'll come in next month probably.
It was in was in the email.
Yeah, Chris sent it.
Didn't get the drive, okay, but the one in the email was good.
Yeah.
We- We didn't look at chapter 81, Anton. We were looking at where to insert the site plan into 170. Do you want us to look at 81?
Let's hold off on 81, that I think that's.
That was pretty recent.
I think that was in my notes from last meeting, but we're not in a rush here, so. Yeah, reagenda that one, a lot of things are gonna be reagendaed anyway. So, okay. 114, intoxicating liquor, Terry, let's stay on that one.
After reviewing that one, there's really not much of change with the case statute numbers, so chapter numbers, and the content of it is in shape. Right, in this changes. We had updated the chapter numbers, I'm not sure if that was similar to.
I would ask the attorney on that.
I would think so too.
You may have a, it may depend a little on how we're referring to exact text. Okay.
Right, and if we're sending a bunch of other ones, Terry, that can include that one, because
Yeah. It was any budget.
No, next one is my records. Maybe it's, Terry's the one who gets to use it. I was, maybe ready for that.
the storage run.
Let's see, so this one, the only two changes that I have on records were that there were. Two references that were to the wrong section. So I just removed the section under it and said, or subsection actually. And, just left the reference to 1921 instead of 1921 sub 5. So I think we can pass this by the lawyer as to whether the board can decide whether it's worth codifying the advice of attorney.
Yeah, and I'm gonna lean on this one that, because it is records, I would say that we would update it for the minimum that it would be bothered to do.
So,
We'll see what they say.
so I'll make a motion to forward the changes to chapter 1.4 of the law for consideration. I'll second that. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 149, roads and driveways. I didn't see that in your eye. Yeah, I don't remember who was.
Yeah, I would think that works.
Yeah, public works, that is public works, so I haven't heard that from public works. Yeah, application. Right. 150, I think it's another one, right? That might not be. This little best one, but it didn't have. All the changes made. So 151 roadway numbering, naming, house numbering. I got rid of a bunch of section references, which about half were wrong, and the first two chapters. I added a note that the town will work with the St. Croix County by naming roads to ensure that they're consistent with the counties. Uniform addressing road naming system that's required by statutes. We got text that said the town board made its discretion without roads to be named out of the number, and that's really up to the county and the board. So we just added some text that said same coordination with the county. The county said that they feel that the state's desire is that the county works with towns, doesn't just see all of us. So they said that they're very happy to work with us, but they felt that it would be good if our ordinance did reference that we work on the county. So future works might use Public roads, the notes that, public roads as a line road, doesn't include public highways, state highways, or private access, just county highways as well. Numbering, used to say that the St. Clair County Planning and Zoning Office designates numbers. And, the county suggested that should refer to the community development department now, so. And I added one more thing, which was, we had a note that's the responsibility of the owner, quote unquote, to maintain their address number in good shape, and I added a note that replacement signs can be ordered from the town at the owner's expense.
And that is correct. And, yeah, I remember the address, and so I'm trying to think what the other word is, what they use for whatever.
I think we've always had that policy, but it's very well, I was here, I was. Yeah, that's,
It might have been, but the other term might be driveway reference,
okay,
but yes.
I just said replacement signs. So. Any discussion, any questions? I will make a motion to forward chapter 151 to the board for consideration.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Right. Chapter 160, small ice. There it was, you're straight.
Yeah. But we did that last time and
Did we forward it, did we make motion to forward this to the board? Can we talk about this?
with the additional comments that were brought in about adding in for the sidewalk. I thought we would move sidewalks, but. turns out-
You did that one done, they just missed. Issues with the docket. Yeah, it looks like, no, we did not. And we forwarded that. So, you want to make a motion to. Pass this one to the board?
I'd like to make a motion to lower, chapter 160 on to word for. Thank you.
Small second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carries. Chapter 170.
You want me to take this one, Carol?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Anton, to your question earlier about 81, chapter 81, I mean, we're talking about 170, the zoning chapter, and in there, well, I'll point out where we reference the design guidelines in chapter 81. I think that I don't think anything needs to be changed, and I just want to address chapter 81 because those are design regulations. And the ordinance itself is incredibly explicit and detailed around providing what's required in those areas, the design regulations. That's what it does, is the architectural standards, the site organ layout standards, the design and it was a very detailed design and site plan review process with application and checklists. We have the waiver of the design standards, the fees, enforcements. So I think 81 is good to go. I don't think there's necessarily any changes there. But what we did then in 170, what we were asked to do was insert that new site plan language into 170, where we'd recommend that be. And so I'll refer everybody in the drive. If you open it up, the one that I'll just kind of go over quick for us, what Carol and I did, our recommendations. It's the one called Ordinance Review CMCL edits November 2023.
Yep.
And so what we're going to recommend is my email. The pages aren't quite right. They're really close. So I'll just point them out to us as we go, if that's okay. So if you can go down to bottom of page 35. And this is the section where this Article 3, this is on explains our districts and the regulation. So it first starts out and it talks that we have a zoning map that we refer everybody to look to. And then it talks about our zoning district boundaries on that map. And then right after there is where we think we should go ahead and insert that site plan language that we had been provided. And we made a couple of changes in that language, and I'll point those out to you. That where it gets inserted then is right before then also where it talks about the effect of these zoning actions by St. Croix County. So we just want it up front, the site plan review that's needed, the site plan. So where we inserted additional language is the second paragraph, small letter A. You can see it highlighted there. Please refer to Design Regulations Manual for Chapter 81, Design Regulations. So that this site plan language that we're inserting in our zoning, also they should look back to 81 and that guide and those guidelines, because those are more detailed even than this site plan approval here. And then if you keep moving down on towards the bottom of page 37, in highlighted there under B and C, we just highlighted the first change. We highlighted it because that's what we made, just a couple of changes here. And you can see we deleted, we just left it the ratio of parking spaces must be provided by the applicant as outlined in section, and 17-47 as our parking section in this zoning chapter 170. We took out to square footage of the principal structure because we're still talking about those parking spaces and weren't sure if that needed to be in case that got changed. It just says, but still has to refer to the parking spaces. And then that C, we didn't change anything there. That was just highlighted to look at it. Carol, is there anything else? And then, well, before I ask that, and then if you go down to page 38, where under the review and recommendation by the Plan Commission under A, it just talks about that, what the Plan Commission will consider when reviewing. And we added in there, you can see the addition of existing town ordinances, right? Because we always, in our zoning, we look back to the applicable subdivision ordinances or these design regulations, that ordinance 81. So that's why we inserted that language. And so those are the small changes we made on that site plan language that we were asked to insert. And this is where we inserted it. And then there's two other areas we want to reference. Maybe I'll just take us through that and then we can have an overall question. How about that? So just keep going real quick. So then if you could scroll down to page 94. This was where we had the site review language in here. So we struck the language that was in here because we have new language. It now is up in that top chapter, that top section of, I can't remember what the number is anyway. But we added here in the site review was again just to refer to the procedure for site plan approval of all conditional use permits under section 17020. So it's referring back to that top section. Because this section now is under conditional use, what you're looking at right now on page 94. So it's saying you still need a site review for conditional use permits, and you need to refer back to the 17020 where we just inserted it. And then we also added language, if the applicant makes changes to the original and approved site plan, they need to come back to the town board for review and approval of that revised site plan. So you know our conditional use permits, you have them for a year. You do a site plan, it gets reviewed, you're good to go. But say 6 months in, they change that site plan, they need to come back to us and get that revised site plan reviewed and approved again.
That was my question, was who's responsible for that, and how do you keep track? Yeah, to keep track of it. As an enforcement piece. Maybe keep going, but that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay to keep going?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thanks. And then we would go down to one more insert that we made on page page 105. We also inserted there in highlighted, refer to the procedure for site plan approval of all conditional use permits, again, under section 17020 up above. And we put this in here because this is talking about the review for uses other than the 1 and 2 family residential. So we're just reaffirming to refer back up to the top. So it wasn't, so when I think at first last month when I brought it forward, I put it in the conditional use section, not, I wasn't, it shouldn't have been there. It should be all the way up on the front. And I think the reason I did it was because we had that site review section already in that conditional use area. That's where I got a little confused.
Little confused myself, because what I'm seeing is 170-20 doesn't seem to match. Here it is, and here. Unless my copy of Microsoft Word is weird. 170-20 for me is showing up as zoning actions by St. Clair County prior to effective date of shut. Even the
I have something somewhere. What is it? Repeat what you said.
the 170-20.
Oh, it should be in, Anton, thanks for that. It should be 170-19, shouldn't it? Because that's where we put it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's literally a typo on my part. So we would change that reference in those two reference areas to 170-19.
Okay, thanks. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you were confused, but it wasn't you, it was me.
Yes, my one other question is. Why 170-19 for the site plan? It doesn't seem, it seems to fit a little uncomfortably there. Would it be better to make a new section for that, do you think?
For the site plan itself.
Right,
Yeah, I had the same question, I've been trying to find a better place to push it.
yeah, that's my
And I didn't see a better place. I mean, it kind of relates to the zoning map, but That's a. A not obvious.
Could you do this? Could you, it would require changing all the numbers after, but you could you make that site plan approval, you know, just call it site plan, and could you make that 170-20 and then number the rest of them chronologically after that?
Yeah, then we don't need to fix the 170-20 or.
Yeah.
You
So
were
that-
planning ahead, Chris.
Huh?
You were planning ahead.
Well, you know, it basically, I didn't really pay attention to the numbers as much as it was, where are we going to put this, you know,
Right.
when you're reading through it. But that's a fix. We can call this site plan 170-20 site plan approval. And then the rest of those all need to get, you know, numbered one up.
I know it's kind of annoying to me, number those, and feel like that's right, and students.
I would agree. Yeah, that definitely makes more sense to me.
Okay. So I would be fine if we want to move this to go to the board with that change. Staff. Chris and Harold, so. Make that change.
Yeah, and I guess I just want to make sure, because with renumbering, we just talked about all the other things that Kathy weren't renumbering the right things, so we definitely do numbers and then there for the and number other.
So we
that
can,
might refer back.
so question, we do a 170-19 parents A or 1 or?
We could.
And it's kind of that way now. I mean, it's a subsection under 170-19. It's just that 170-19 is zoning map. And it talks about zoning map,
Right.
and the site plan is, while it does have a very loose relationship to that, it really isn't related significantly to the site map.
But does it have a better relationship to that area in chapter 81, which is sort of housed in that area?
No, I think it should stay in this document. I just don't think it should be in just
I didn't
a
think so.
subsection underneath 170-19, which is, that's a. Unless you know it's there, you wouldn't even think, looking at the heading zoning map, that that's where there's gonna be information about
So
a site plan.
just to clarify, we would take and have a site plan required under 170-20.
Right, it'll be its own.
Right.
But the issue would be then,
170-20,
we'd have to take all the rest of the numbers.
Yeah.
On the other 6 pages,
Yeah, that's where my hang up is.
that's what I was.
I don't know what else in the code, in the other chapters might tie back to that. Create more things.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I do agree having it as separate. When I've seen them, they've always been site plan required as a separate. thing.
yeah, but in the Wisconsin statutes, I noticed they actually do a couple of different things here, though. They use like the 2 digits for section numbers, but then 3 digit things are actually under the 2 digit ones, so that they can insert things in the middle by saying the order of the statutes is actually like 21, 22, 23. It's, it comes like 21, 211, 22. 21, 222, 223. So we could probably do something like that. The other thing that we do is in cases they'll append them better. So you'll wind up with like 22.21
So if you want,
We usually take down because that area has some before or after that.
right, you want to figure that just out and embrace that to the board,
Yeah, probably.
because the board just says, yeah, it's fine, and let's send it off to the attorney or codification.
These sections we have, so.
Oh, so you owe 19A, 19B, and then number. Is that correct? In your formatting?
That's the current.
Okay,
Yeah. And that's,
you always want to change that too.
that's set by default, I think. Then they codify it in or something like
Yeah.
Chris,
Okay, just 1 second, Chris, one question, Terry, is this something that you call the coordinates? Okay. Chris,
Yeah, I think you just, I think you just asked my question. I don't think we have to make this decision. I think, can't we just move it up to the town board and they'll say yay or nay, it goes here, approve it, and then they can get it over to um whoever, well, our attorneys to probably review it and then make those changes for us and double check everything, or do we have to do that?
why don't we, you know what, you'll get it. The board will send it back to you if you have to do that rather than straight lining it to the attorney and both.
but we can ask E-code. Terry can ask E-code what they would recommend.
I would, yes, definitely, I think so.
So do we forward it to the board
I think
with the caveat that we're
reading on E-code.
waiting on E-code to figure out the best way to.
And E-code has a simple solution, like maybe they say internally all of the references that we have are proper software references, just automatically renumber and codifies. Then great, if they say, you know, sit insert it there and use, you know, 170-19-01 or whatever, then fine. And if it's something more complicated, then the board can send it back to us. That sounds reasonable. I mean, it's fine if the board sends it back. It's just, we might be able to save a month in the sale.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out too. So Terry, you're sitting there shaking your head. Does that work for you? And is it likely you, so it would depend upon how quick he will come back to you as to whether or not you answer the board on Thursday. You want to wait and go for that? We can try it.
It doesn't hurt to try it. Worst that happens.
Yeah,
Or
then if we don't,
throws it back at us.
I was gonna say if we don't have it, then you get it back.
So. I'll make a motion to forward, agenda something that wants to be to the board for review. With the understanding that the site plan section numbering needs to be resolved. And Terry will provide an update from the board to the board.
I'll second.
That's something for you, Chris. You can hear it. Okay. All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, thank you. Chapter 176, our transient merchants.
Transient merchants, I am still working on getting all the language adds in there. I am getting it in a digestible format with all those language changes, so anticipate seeing it next one. Probably some discussion on some of the language changes, such as solicitors.
Great. And let's see, H200, H202 is still waiting for that, he's coming on that. Yeah. I'm not too worried about it, just scheduling, you know. New proposed ordinance, temporary structure, commercial template, this is actually something that, I guess that the board didn't ask the attorney to prepare this, so I don't think he will just come up with this on his own. But he brought us to the town board and that's either last month's, next 2 months during the meeting. And I volunteered to go through and like look at it because I felt that commission should get a chance to weigh in on ordinances, like talking issues there. I got a little bit of feedback from Teresa that I will. Here. It's a new one, so it is actually a red line version of the drive. The red line there is the difference between what we got from the attorney and the changes that I made. The comments that I have from Teresa on this one are that we must include the months of May and October, so they're not leading up during winter months and it's not rated for a snow. This sense not that the measure as well best, so. Second thing was I asked, in the comments, if we should get a fee schedule, and she said, yes, that should be registered. So, this one, I don't think is going to be quite right here, I'm going to talk to the. Attorney, probably as Teresa as an intermediary here, this. I'm a little puzzled about, how, for instance, restricting things between May and October works with the. And we allow Christmas tree sales of, these tents. So I think there's some more work to be done, more wordsmithing to be done on this one, and I will bring it back, next year.
And I do think that when we're looking at this.
Yep.
Yes, people should be able to use a tent in winter time if you see them in advance frequently. And so it isn't, it's not an uncommon use to provide some type of shelter in our climate. In those months, so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Bruce.
So I'm gonna kind of fuss about that.
Yeah, I looked a little bit, there was some really weird language in here, understanding. You can see it deleted a bunch of it in 92-7 about temporary uses and stuff, and I managed to track down where that was from, which was Cedarburg ordinance. And the language that we got is the language out of there, but in a different context, and it doesn't really make sense without the context around this. Because the context there in their ordinance was basically, normally you need a permit, but there are these exceptions where we allow it without a permit, effectively. And ours became like, these are restrictions and you can't do some of these things.
And we might, and I also think at this time, I'm gonna put in here that it shouldn't be an ordinance of the 2023, this should be part of some chapter that's existing so that. It's codified and it has a fit where it belongs. Because it says chapter 92, this is it's the new chapter.
Yeah, this is way more.
So this really should be a new chapter, but it should be listed as new chapter 92 or whatever. On your next agenda, and yeah, I think it needs more work and it's not ready for the board.
Yeah. So I will try and work with Teresa, let's make come up with a board meeting next week, I don't know. But all our Teresa and the attorneys are having, get us in better shape. I don't think it's where we need to be there, that, and then there's also some other things where I want to see in which either people here, if anybody wants to just drop me an email individually, that would be fine as well. So originally, the version from the attorney basically said, you need this permit for any tent. Because quote unquote, the temporary structure or a commercial tent, where commercial tent is defined as a tent. And it feels to me a little bit strong to ask people to apply for $1,000 building permit for putting up a tent that they're selling pumpkins out of.
And that would be I think that's a good example, and I was gonna say, or if they were doing. I can think of any, other than just pumpkins, but if somebody was gonna have their own fall craft show or something, it's gonna go for several days and.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
So
yeah, we need a permit just so that we know these structures are out there and how big they are in the event, but it might be a part of, say, another license, whether it be a picnic license or our assembly thing. Yeah, that's what we want to make sure. We want to make sure all of those are they know when they can and cannot use them.
Yeah, this is one where I can find like a whole lot of communities that all have standard within this. So I kind of like, I found about a dozen searching last night. Some of them have like saying, it's bigger than a certain size, and then you need a permit, but for small ones you don't. I got this text that basically said if you have a fire in a site up there, then you need to have a permit to be able to save, so if you're going inside of there.
And I'm sure it
It's
is,
very important, electrical. Equipments, then we want that inspected. But
and I'm sure that all of these, in these different municipalities were your annual town festival or event.
Yep.
In which they had a circumstance or an event or happening. And they realized that because of what happened in their community, they need to write an ordinance, and that's why we get this disconnect, but on the other hand, we use it to our advantage and say, well, these other communities have already been through this, and therefore we're gonna take a look at it and, part of the larger piece, because that's what I see, because all your festivals all over. They have camps, and that includes the municipalities and all different people, so they're all different sizes and colors and shapes.
yeah, and the other place where I think that there is that concern is we've got places that are like wedding destinations. And they can easily be putting up tents that has room for 200-300 people under it. And we really don't want a situation where there's a fire there or something, and there's no easy way to get out, for instance.
Well, and the other thing that was talked about many years ago as the Loop Trail was coming on and as it expanded, that they said that that's an opportunity for tourism, and so you would have a weekend event along the Loop Trail, and they'd be setting up their tents for that particular event. Yeah, we need to kind of think of outside the box on what are they using the tents for and why? It's not a single.
Right. And why do we really care about this? And we realize what we care about is one people
Public
safe.
safety. It comes down to public safety and sanitation that goes with the crowd that comes to the tent.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, and parking, of course.
So anyway, we'll continue working on this, but I wanted to bring to the commission where I am right now.
So I wanted to make a couple of comments, so, and I understand the public safety, but as I'm reading this, I'm looking at 120 square feet, so 10 by 12 foot tent.
Honestly, it's 200 square foot. That's
Okay, 10 by 12 foot temporary structure, 120 square feet. Or it would be 10 by 12, and it's $1,000 permit.
yeah, I don't know why that permit is so bad.
I said, where did that dollar amount come from? Because that seems crazy
I
high.
came from Teresa, I believe.
Okay, because I
She
understand.
got that from the building inspector, so it's, yeah.
Oh.
Discussion.
Because generally speaking, our fees aren't intended to make a profit to the town.
Right.
So it seemed like.
Well,
Either we need a tiered structure, and I get, if you're gonna do a, 40 by 60 and you're gonna have 300 people in it, that's. Those numbers match, that's a lot different than a 10 by 12.
yes,
And. So we need to figure that out somehow.
And the other thing is you don't want $1,000 written in your ordinance, you want it per the fee schedule, so that you have to rewrite an ordinance, recodify an ordinance to change that price.
Yeah, it is important if we're gonna have a tiered fee schedule that we have something in the ordinance that supports that.
And at what point is the building inspector supposed to be even involved in putting up a tent?
exactly.
What's their role?
That would be my question.
And is that fee going to us or is that to the cover the building inspector?
That's primarily.
And
Primarily it's.
I think it's- yeah.
And I think, where it comes in again is these very big installations where you might have,
That's understandable.
you've got a couple of distances, you've got like the temporary ones that are like, a wedding destination or whatever. But then you also have the potential that a place, big guys decide, hey, we've got our big. There's a permanent
40 by 80.
We're going to put in another, 40 by 80 or whatever, that's there during the summer season.
And then you would need,
And it's gonna have,
or likely need
it's gonna
building
have
inspector.
for music and stuff, and it's going to have, the bar area, it's going to have.
It's gonna house a bunch of people
It's gonna
that
have some gas stoves where they can,
need some safety
So,
equipment inspection. I don't know, so, yeah.
And the other thing that happens in town here is from a commercial operation standpoint, it's our Game On Unlimited, they had, what is it, Oh, and then they had top mutters. Well, there were lots of tents, and then they have that, I think every year they have a great big event that's all tied to the hunting piece of it and sportsmanship piece of it.
That's like,
And, you know, so when we're talking about tents and how they're gonna be used in sizes and fees. We need to be very cognitive of how that's gonna be.
yeah, I think we really need to figure out like. What are these different sizes and or these different uses, then be a little careful with uses in terms of how we.
Yeah, because if your event is over 2 weekends. And you have set up and tear down before and after, you know, those tent companies, they just don't, they're not standing there waiting to show up and take them down and you can say, I want them down today.
But if you have multiple tents, you can probably find that,
Right.
and one time fee or is.
Yeah, some of the towns are very explicit about, like, they're no more than, 20 feet apart or something, then, you can take a whole lot of them, as in songs that are expected at the same time. If you take them from that 30,
Should, yeah,
30 cents.
service.
Yeah.
Well, I think like, our festival.
Okay, oh, yeah.
You're gonna get so big someday that we have a tent problem.
Yes. All right, so I will have changes on this next one, but I don't know. So again, feel free to just drop me a line. Okay. Standing items. Review of budgets, Terry just had one quick question, because there was one, of the invoices to send them, we have like the total one, items. But you have headlines. Makes that we didn't get that. The very last, so all of those 10 at once have like the summary page, invoice page, and conversation. But then the very last one is just like $2,100. Invitations, I guess, maybe it's like this one. No, it's pieces and that.
Oh, okay.
This one is the console.
Okay.
Understanding. Only question. Other comments or questions on budget?
On your engineering thing, we must have. On our engineering, do we have some outstanding, pass-through expenses that are still uncollected in their hearing? Or doesn't that show up here?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
On engineering and planning fees, do we have any, we have what the charges are here. But do we have on the income side with some past collections, or are we have a lot outstanding against this category?
Are you talking about the amounts?
Yeah,
I would have to look, I don't know, we usually do, we have the amount, so.
that
I
just,
have to look.
yeah, so he just doesn't get the other offsetting category with that something.
Yeah, we don't give all the income on these things, because it's expensive.
I just think it's worth knowing as part of the fact that when you look at these, that's what you're looking at.
It's. Updates from the county, I don't have anything from the county, there's overrunning the next fair number of elements. Anything more you need?
No, I don't think so. There's a town board meeting for us next Thursday. And I think we might have a work session later on this month.
And then update on things, I was just saying, I'm actually going to like go ahead and just hear that picture back. So where complaints come to the town board meeting, because they usually have their complaints. So there are some sort of, not in great detail, because a lot of those are legal issues. Maybe that's it. On board. Some recommendations, and creating. And differences and next to that, carry over and we'll try to have the right system. It's correct to be a negative bomb, and it's a really long application and this. Our next meeting is scheduled for the third, I believe, the South wave. Probably they're long, yes.
So hopefully we'll have your mic fixed by then.
I don't think it's on mic, I think it's my voice.
Apparently your voice is defective. Mary, can you get somebody to fix it?
Yeah.
We'll definitely want to.
Either that or it's like the spot, it's the network spot, it's like. You have one you're standing. I just walk around. Let's see, items for the town board agenda, we've got the CSM, we've got creative, we've got stuff. If you want to say how you can fix the ordinance, it's like. Everything, yeah. Okay. Alright, I'll take one to adjourn, so you'd like to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Who's down to adjourn? Okay, it's the others. I will now stand.
You're ahead of me.
Yep. Good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Can you-
everybody.